A strange curse sits at the center of one of the most unsettling characters in modern gaming. Baldur from the video game franchise God of War is not feared because of raw strength alone. Many characters in that world possess immense power. What makes Baldur disturbing is something far worse. He cannot feel anything. No pain, no heat, no cold, no hunger, no fatigue. And this raises a strange question many players end up thinking about after finishing the game. If Baldur cannot feel pain, can he feel pleasure? The question sounds ridiculous at first. Yet the moment you start examining Baldur's curse, the topic becomes surprisingly complex. The curse affects every sensory experience in his body. Pain is gone, but sensation itself also disappears. Touch becomes meaningless. Taste disappears. Even the feeling of wind on skin vanishes. To understand the answer, you have to start with the origin of Baldur's condition. Baldur is the son of the Norse god Odin and the goddess Freya. In mythology, Baldur is beloved by nearly every living thing. He represents light, purity, and beauty. Freya fears a prophecy predicting Baldur's death. To prevent this fate, she performs a powerful spell that makes him immune to all harm. In God of War Ragnarok and the 2018 game before it, the developers reinterpret that myth in a darker way. Instead of simply granting Baldur invulnerability, Freya's spell removes his ability to feel anything. This is where the horror begins. Imagine waking up one day and your senses are gone. You can see and hear, but every physical feeling disappears. No warmth from sunlight, no taste from food, no physical comfort, no pain when injured. At first, someone might think this sounds like a superpower. Pain disappears, injuries stop mattering. A warrior could fight endlessly. But humans rely on sensation to experience life. Food loses meaning when taste disappears. Touch loses meaning when nerves stop responding. Comfort disappears. Even emotional grounding starts to fade. Baldur lives inside this numb state for over 100 years. And that leads directly to the reason he behaves the way he does in the game. When players first meet Baldur during his confrontation with Kratos, he acts strangely. He provokes fights, he smiles during violence, he seems obsessed with being hit. At first glance, this behavior looks like arrogance. But once the truth of his curse becomes clear, his actions take on a different meaning. Baldur desperately wants to feel something, anything, even pain. Pain becomes desirable because it proves that the body still works. Pain confirms existence. When Baldur punches Kratos and receives a punch in return, the audience might assume he enjoys fighting, but what he truly wants is sensation. This psychological state mirrors a real human phenomenon. People who experience long periods of sensory deprivation often become desperate for stimulation. The brain begins craving any form of input. Even discomfort becomes welcome. Baldur has lived in that condition for more than a century. Now return to the original question. If Baldur cannot feel pain, can he feel pleasure? The answer depends on how the curse works. The game provides clues through Baldur's dialogue. Several times he explains the effects of Freya's spell. He says he cannot feel cold, warmth, pain, or even basic touch. Food has no taste. Physical sensations do not reach his brain. Pleasure relies on the same sensory pathways as pain. Both experiences travel through the nervous system. Different receptors respond to different types of stimulation, but the signals still travel through nerve endings into the brain. If Baldur's curse blocks those signals entirely, pleasure disappears alongside pain. This means Baldur cannot experience any physical enjoyment. No comfort from warmth, no relaxation from touch, no physical intimacy. Everything becomes neutral. Imagine eating food every day for a century without taste. Eating becomes mechanical. The same would apply to every physical experience, and that includes sexual sensation. Without nerve signals, the brain receives no feedback from the body. The biological systems involved in pleasure would technically function, but the experience itself would not register. In simple terms, Baldur could perform the physical act, but he would feel nothing. This concept makes Baldur's story even more tragic. People often associate invulnerability with strength. Yet the game portrays Baldur as one of the most miserable characters in the entire series. His curse traps him in permanent sensory isolation. Think about everyday experiences that rely on sensation. The warmth of sunlight on skin, the relief of resting after exhaustion, the feeling of water during a shower, the comfort of a hug. These experiences seem small, but they shape human life. Remove them completely, and the world becomes hollow. That hollow state explains Baldur's personality. He constantly pushes people toward violence. He taunts enemies. He behaves recklessly. Every fight becomes an experiment. Every punch becomes a test. Maybe this one will break the spell. Maybe this one will finally hurt. During his battles with Kratos, Baldur repeatedly smiles when he receives powerful blows. That reaction confuses players at first. Most characters react to pain with fear or anger. Baldur reacts with excitement, because the possibility of feeling something exists for a moment. Later in the story, Baldur finally breaks Freya's spell. The curse lifts during the final confrontation. For the first time in more than 100 years, sensation returns to his body. Cold wind touches his skin. Pain returns. Physical feeling floods back. And his reaction reveals something important. He laughs. Not because pain feels good, but because feeling anything at all feels incredible after decades of emptiness. That moment answers the question more clearly than any explanation. Before the curse breaks, Baldur cannot feel pleasure. His entire sensory system remains blocked. When the spell ends, sensation floods back instantly. Pain returns first because the environment around him is harsh. But alongside pain comes every other feeling the human body experiences. In that moment, Baldur finally becomes human again. Ironically, that same moment leads to his downfall. His obsession with revenge drives him toward the final confrontation that ends his life. Freya wanted to protect her son from death. Instead, she created a prison of numbness that destroyed his sanity. From a storytelling perspective, Baldur represents a fascinating inversion of the typical invincible villain. Most unstoppable characters feel powerful because nothing can hurt them. Baldur feels tortured because nothing can reach him. Pain normally signals danger, but pain also proves that the body remains connected to the world. Without it, existence begins to lose meaning. The writers behind God of War used this concept to transform a mythological hero into a tragic antagonist. Baldur is not evil because he enjoys cruelty. He is desperate. Desperate to break the curse. Desperate to feel something again. And that desperation drives the entire conflict of the story. So the strange internet question about Baldur's ability to feel pleasure ends with a surprisingly dark answer. Before the spell breaks, Baldur cannot feel pleasure. He cannot feel anything at all. His body moves, his muscles function, his strength remains immense. But the sensations that make life meaningful never reach his mind. Only when the curse ends does the world return to him, pain included.